Well, hey again, everyone. It's been a couple of weeks since I did the last Blu-ray news thing, and there's been a lot of stuff building up in that time, so let's just jump right into a whole bunch of things here, because a little bit of a follow-up on some other things I reported on earlier, where you had Warner Brothers doing 4K versions of The Lost Boys and Poltergeist. They've announced the specs. Now, they're just HDR10, no Dolby Vision, and there's no soundtrack remix or anything. The same ones you've always had before. But the Lost Boys having all those special edition DVD features ported over from the Blu-ray over to this 4K version, so you're getting the exact same stuff. You're not losing anything, just gaining a little extra something in terms of the 4K presentation. Now, Poltergeist is a little bit more on the curiosity thing, because it always been really much a bare bones release before, because of all the weird things that happened and a lot of unfortunate things that happened with the production. Not a lot of people were very much either available anymore or willing to really discuss it in very much ways, but apparently on September 20th, you're going to get this 4K version with a few extra featurettes. You've got a Poltergeist documentary and a making of featurette, theatrical trailer, and a few other things here and there. So it's like they put in a little extra effort. They put in some extra stuff that had probably already been produced at the time and just incorporate on this whole thing, so you won't be putting on a bare bones 4K disc. So I think it's a very, very particular type of thing. I don't know how extensive any of this stuff is or what the run times are, but at least they're putting in a little something extra for the fans, because we've gotten, like Scream Factory did, full collector's edition versions of the second and third films. Nice to get the first one from Steelbook and Hooper. A little extra something for the fans instead of just a 4K presentation. You dig up a couple of featurettes, a documentary that was produced to get a little juice on the entire thing. So I think that's very nice for the fans. And moving on to other things where Tarantino stuff has been like, okay, we've been kind of dodging and weaving, waiting a little bit for some 4K announcements. Apparently, Lionsgate is doing a 4K version of Reservoir Dogs. Now, this is currently dated for November 15th with no details available. No specs on the HDR or any of the audio formats or any bonus features, but I'm sure whatever was on previous releases will likely be poured over into this thing. We're just kind of waiting on the final specs of the audio and the visuals type of stuff. But here we get into there's a lot of KINO LORBER news. Like tons of freaking titles. Some stuff that's like announced with no information yet, but there's a lot of interesting titles. One of them being Happy Birthday to Me. Fantastic little horror film that Steve and I have done a commentary for. We very much love this thing so much. Previously only been on Mill Creek in the United States, but in the UK they got an Indicator series release from Powerhouse Films, which had a few additional things that KINO LORBER is not including here. But what they are including, they have a new interview from actress Tracy E. Bergman and an audio commentary that's brand new from screenwriter Timothy Bond, moderated by historian and filmmaker Daniel Kramer. So these are new features that were not included with the UK version of this whole thing, which had the odd sort of alternate score track that was done on the first DVD release on it, which they completely redid the entire score with electronic beats and stuff like that, like a synth score. So the UK Indicator series have that, and they have a fan commentary track as well, but KINO LORBER is going a little bit more professional on these types of things, getting people who are actually involved with the film to chime in on certain things. So if you already have the UK Indicator series, you're probably very happy with it. No new transfers being announced. They're just kind of putting the same one on there with probably a better encode than what Mill Creek put out, but getting some new features, and you got various other things like UK TV spots, trailers, stuff like that. So we're getting a nice little package here for the entire film. So I think that's going to be a nice thing when it comes out on October 18th. I might get that, because I've been kind of eyeing the Indicator one, but this one will probably be a little easier to come by since it's not an import and stuff like that and all that other stuff. But kind of nice little, just another Blu-ray one before we get into the 4K ones. That nice Paul Newman, Gene Hackman, Susan Sarandon, and James Garner thriller that came out in the late 90s called Twilight is getting a KINO LORBER Blu-ray release. Now, there's no details yet. It's not even dated yet, but I was like, I saw this on Netflix quite a few years ago. I was like, it's kind of all right. It's a nice sort of late 90s Los Angeles noir throwback thriller. It's a nice piece of work. If you really love these actors, I think it's definitely a film to really check out. Give the time of day. So I might be interested in grabbing this, depending on what the price point is or stuff like that. So be interested to see if they get a commentary track for someone or an interview from someone here and there. Obviously, Gene Hackman's long since retired. Paul Newman's no longer with us. But maybe some filmmakers or some of the people involved in the whole thing might chime in and get a little something, or they might just do the old film historian route and just have a sort of commentary from them or something like that. But we'll see what happens. But one of the big things they did announce here is they already kind of announced the title, but now they got specs for the usual suspects. Now, me and Steve are big fans of this film, despite some of the things with like Spacey and Singer and stuff like that. There's a lot more talent to very much credit on this whole film, like screenwriter Christopher McQuarrie and cinematographer Newton Thomas Siegel, who has supervised the new transfer, which is a 4K 16-bit transfer with Dolby Vision. And they have a brand new interview with cinematographer Newton Thomas Siegel and the whole thing, along with all the old special edition DVD features. All that stuff is finally porting over because they never did that with MGM on the Blu-ray. So now you're going to get everything that was on the DVD, plus the 4K upgrade in Dolby Vision, along with like 2.0 and 5.1 lossless audio. This is a big thing. This is a really big thing because, again, with the problems and stuff like that and the accusations against those two guys involved in the film, you kind of thought this film would be shunned and just like vaulted for all time. But glad that they saw like there's a lot of talent involved in all this thing. Gabriel Byrne and Kevin Pollak and all these other great people and the whole thing. Chaz Palminteri. Again, fantastic people involved with this film that really did a fantastic job. So, I mean, there's a lot of credit to still give to this film for all the people who are not tainted by various things. And this will definitely be a big thing I'll be definitely getting because I got tired of the old DVD transfer, which didn't look terribly great. So I kind of grabbed the Blu-ray cheap or something like that. But now that the 4K is coming, no-brainer purchase for myself. I'm definitely going to get this. And I think that's probably going to look phenomenal since this is a fantastic cinematographer. Probably has a very strong eye to remember how the film exactly looked. And there's a lot of things with John Ottman's commentary track, which is also included in this thing where he talked about a lot about how the movie was filmed, and a lot of things with the composition, how the thing was supposed to look, because he was the editor and composer on the film. So I think there's a lot of detail to go off of to make sure there's a very, very good transfer. I've seen some stuff KINO LORBER doing 4K. They nail it like living hell. The other stuff they've announced is that the Brett Ratner version of Red Dragon is getting the 4K treatment. They haven't dated it yet. There's no things but saying basically all their 4K stuff without saying going over it over and over again. Dolby Vision HDR treatments on everything they're doing here. So they're getting that up on there. So they've done Hannibal. They've done Silence of the Lambs. So now they're doing Red Dragon. They're finishing off that continuity of the Anthony Hopkins stuff with Hannibal Lecter. Very good type of thing for the collectors. Grab all that stuff up if you're very much interested. You'll have the complete set. But also they're giving us Marathon Man, the Dustin Hoffman film. And again, two Clint Eastwood films, getting Escape from Alcatraz and announced today, High Plains Drifter. So, very good stuff. I think maybe some of this is probably MGM, some of it also might be Paramount stuff. I'm not entirely certain, but a lot of those old Clint Eastwood westerns, I think, were a lot more like MGM titles, legacied in or something like that from other libraries they had. So, definitely stuff there. Like I said, there's no details except for November 9th is Escape from Alcatraz and November 22nd is High Plains Drifter. So they've dated those, but there are no dates on Twilight or Red Dragon or Marathon Man yet. But give us some weeks, they'll get some specs out and then get some dates settled in once they got things a little bit further along in the process. But cool things on that front. But also they're getting another 4K version here, which is Frank Oz's directed film starring Robert De Niro, Edward Norton, Angela Bassett, Marlon Brando. The Score. Really good film. I saw this in the theater way back when. I've had the DVD ever since. And also the cinematographer of the film is actually approving the transfer of this whole thing. Again, Dolby Vision, all that type of stuff. Plus porting over all the DVD bonus features. So there's a commentary track, some additional scenes, trailers, and some of the little things here and there making a featurette. Good type of stuff. I think it's going to be a really nice package. I'm kind of interested. I haven't watched it in so long, but I just have very strong memories of the thing being a very slick thriller, very good type of things. Norton, De Niro, top of the game type of stuff. I think it's a really, really good thing to check out. Good type of title for them to grab from Paramount. But talking about Paramount stuff, they announced a few things that are kind of making some debuts and some other re-debuts and stuff like that. So, since the 20th anniversary of The Ring is coming up very shortly, they're reissuing it with a Steelbook version, which has kind of like this nice sort of retro VHS slipcover type of thing. Now, one of the things that The Ring for the last couple of years has been on a BDR sort of pressing. Has been like pressed, it's been like a burn disc the last couple of years. So when we did our commentary for it last year, I specifically looked around to make sure I got one that was a proper Blu-ray pressing, not one of the burn discs. But nicely, I believe this, since they're doing a nice new reissue with new packaging, special edition type of thing in that regard, I'm sure it'll be back to being a pressed disc. So if we grab that up, it'll be coming out on October 18th, right around the 20th anniversary of that. Probably have all the legacy bonus features and stuff like that, but they haven't really said exactly what. But I don't have any doubt it'll be the exact same disc you had before, just in new packaging. But we're also getting 48 hours upgraded to 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray. This is coming out right at the 40th anniversary in December. Now, they already had the Paramount Presents line where they remastered it, but pointing it only out on Blu-ray. Now, if anyone is holding out for the entire thing for 4K, look it up on its 40th anniversary on December 6th. We're also one of the big titles, not one of these catalog things, one of the biggest titles we have for the year is Top Gun Maverick. Major blockbuster success, over $1 billion. The thing has been running strong for months now. I think I only had 1 week in the last 3 months where it hasn't been in the top 5 of the box office on the weekend. So it's been pushing strong. It's been re-released out in Dolby Cinemas and IMAX, stuff like that. It's a major hit. And Paramount's they're kind of put on pause because it's performing so strongly. They didn't want to quite pull the trigger on the home video stuff just yet. They're kind of waiting for it to run a little bit further out its course. And I believe it's coming out, I don't know exactly the date it's coming out in digital. I think it's just in a couple weeks or so. But it's not debuting on physical formats until November 1st. DVD, Blu-ray, 4K, not until November 1st. So you got a long way to go to get this on the actual discs. But there's no commentary tracks, unfortunately, but they apparently, I believe I've heard, at least the 4K version will include the morphing aspect ratios for the IMAX format. So stuff that was shot for IMAX, you will see it in the proper IMAX format on the disc. So I did see it in IMAX, not like a proper, super IMAX thing. Went to a Cinemark and saw it on their big IMAX screen, so that's very much a special thing to behold. And I believe they will have Dolby Vision on this whole thing, plus they have 5 behind-the-scenes featurettes and Dolby Atmos. Definite thing. I think a lot of people are just going to grab this. I think the Steelbook artwork looks gorgeous. I think I want to get that. It's not a Best Buy exclusive. You can get it on various retailers, so it's not going to be like one of those Best Buy things where it's like you want to get a real limited number of copies, and they're going to be sold out on the friggin' release date through all the pre-orders, and every store is going to get 2 or 3 of them, and they're going to be gone in 24 hours. This is being put up on Amazon and various other retailers, so it's going to be a widespread thing for the Steelbook. But probably good to kind of if you really want to get it up on the pre-order, make sure you actually get it, regardless of that. So just keep a mind on that. But that is coming up on November 1st from Paramount, and they're including the One Republic and Lady Gaga music videos. So it's going all out. Very much like the original Top Gun Blu-rays or whatnot, the DVDs and whatnot. They put all the music videos on there, all the stuff, every piece of promotional material that was available, and all the extensive featurettes and stuff like that. They put it on there. They're following suit with this, so they're not shortchanging people. They're putting a lot of stuff here. I think it's definitely going to be a banger on freaking disc and everything like that. It's going to be definitely something probably one of the best looking things. Hopefully they mastered it 4K, but we'll see if it's not a 2K upscale, but I'm sure it's just going to look phenomenal because it was phenomenal in the theater. But moving on to more boutique labels here, we got this very particular type of thing here because Severin Films has announced the George C. Scott starring and Peter Mendick directed film The Changeling from 1980 coming up on 4K Blu-ray. Now, this was released in 2018 with a new restoration because we were stuck with an old crusty DVD and we're kind of tired of it. We were so very much pleased to finally get a brand new restoration of the whole thing. But there were problems back in 2018 because with Severin Films, because also Second Sight also did their own release out in the UK. But my experiences with Severin Films were they had 3 different pressings of this whole thing. The first one apparently had a missing frame and problems with the audio. There was some kind of audio glitch or something like that, or missing elements in the audio mix. So they did a replacement plan for version 2 disc. Sadly enough, they fixed the audio, but the video included on the disc was the unrestored print you said. So I had cigarette burns on the whole thing and all this type of stuff. So it's like, I've been stuck with two different discs. They're not complete proper versions of the same because they did make a version 3 disc, which they refused to do a replacement plan for. You had to repurchase the disc to get the proper version because they failed in their quality assurance and control stuff. And I haven't watched the film in 4 years because of that freaking mistake. Either I watched the version that has a missing frame and audio problems with it, or I watched one that has the corrected audio but the unrestored video, so it's like I'm stuck with a freaking thing that's completely faulty and there's nothing I can do with it because I've tried emailing them. They will not send the stuff out. They refuse. Absolutely. So now they're doing a 4K version, but this restoration was done from an internegative. And apparently there's no mention of HDR in this entire thing whatsoever. So as I've gone through in other videos, but just for a refresher, first you have the original camera negative, which is usually what people go back to when they're doing a 4K Blu-ray, because it's the original highest quality source, the least no degradation, no excessive grain, no problems. You take the original negative, you scan it in, you redo the color grading, and you're pretty much done. But you'll have the original camera negative, then the process would go on to the interpositive, where all the color correction and the color grading and whatnot was applied to. Then comes the internegative, then comes the theatrical prints. So doing an internegative restoration when apparently, supposedly, better earlier generation prints were not in very good quality. They were not in good repair. They were very much damaged. They were not terribly in good condition to actually do the restoration from, so it's technically fine. But the fact is, if I'm going to get the 4K version, because like, okay, well, I'm not going to go try and gamble and buy the fucking same Blu-ray again. I'll wait for 4K. But I don't think it's going to look all that much better. There's going to be a debate on that regard. You got an internegative, which is 3 generations in. You're doing a 4K version, but there's no HDR involved with it. Do have new interviews from director Peter Medic. There are 2 of them. Plus all the other bonus features they put together before with other interviews and commentary tracks, stuff like that. So that's involved. That's included with the entire thing. But I'm just like, the thing is, this is going to be a 3-disc set. There's going to be a 4K disc, a Blu-ray, then they're including the CD soundtrack, and the cheapest price they're asking for it is $45. And that's the discounted price. It's like, well, I don't really want the CD soundtrack. I have no desire for it, so can I get a version that's cheaper than that without the soundtrack? They're not offering that, and there's no HDR in the whole thing, so I'm paying like a super premium price for something that's lesser quality than most other 4K restorations. I'm just very kind of dodgy on this whole thing. I don't know if Second Sight Films in the UK still has a license that they're going to go forward with their own release of this whole thing. I have no idea. There's been no word from that. All we know is Severin Films in the United States, they're putting out this disc. There's no mention of HDR grading. And, of course, we're 3 generations in, which is terribly not the optimal source for this whole thing. And so it's a little bit of a debatable thing. A lot of people will buy it, and a lot of people will probably be happy with it. But the fact that I've purchased it before, and I've gotten a replacement disc, and neither one of the discs is entirely proper corrected product, now I'm asked to be paying like almost double the price of what I paid for before to get kind of the same thing without any real improvements on the whole thing. So I'm just like, I'm not really a fan of this entire idea. If the thing goes down to like $25, I'm fine. I'd probably be fine with it. But the fact that I'm paying like $45 plus shipping on their website, which means I'm probably paying like $50 for this whole thing, I'm just like, I'm not that interested. So we'll see how things roll out, but they've released full specs on this whole thing, saying the 4K Blu-ray and the CD, all the bonus features, including new interviews, stuff like that. So I don't know if there's anything additional they're going to talk about this whole thing, saying there's going to be like a budget release or anything like that. I have no idea. They're just saying there's this special 3-disc edition, and that's all they're being announced. So that's all we know. And that's being released on October 25th. So figure out what you want to do about the whole thing, but I'll see if Severin kind of gets off, keep these S titles. Severin, Second Sight, is very confusing. But we got Severin putting it out in the United States on October 25th. There's no word about anything else coming out in the UK or anything else like that. Maybe Second Sight will do something. They're just kind of waiting it out and maybe doing something else. I don't know. Don't know nothing. Back in 2018, they were kind of released almost in tandem, kind of parallel releases with all the same stuff, basically. But a lot of people are a lot more pleased with the UK version than the one Severin put out here. Stuff like that. Anyway, moving on beyond that, Scream Factory stuff, as always, they've announced Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure for 4K Blu-ray. Now, Studio Canal already did their own 4K version not too long ago. So I'm pretty sure this is going to be a fairly reflective release. Probably not going to be too much of a difference on this whole thing. Probably similar to like what Studio Canal does their 4K stuff, with John Carpenter stuff, which I have stuff coming up on that. I don't think there's any date yet. There's no specs release, but I'm fairly certain it'll be kind of the same release, just for people in the U.S. to grab it. Now we have the whole thing where I was debating about talking about the new Halloween 4K collection box set thing, because kind of waiting for a little bit more specs on the whole thing with any new bonus features or anything else like that. Now we're getting Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, Halloween H2O, and Halloween Resurrection put it onto this 4K set with both the theatrical and producer's cut of Halloween 6 done in 4K, and they're all going to have their own 4K discs and 1080p Blu-ray discs. So you've got like an 8-disc set, and that's generally all we really know. They're going to, of course, as always, they're going to have the Dolby Vision, HDR, stuff like that, but nothing else really known at this point. We had the rumor a couple of months ago saying Daniel Ferrens had done a new commentary with actress Marianne Hagen on Halloween 6. We don't know which version that's for, since there was already a commentary done for the producer's cut at the time of the original box set release. Maybe this is done for the theatrical cut. I don't know. But that's all we've known at this point in time, and all there is to really say about it. But I'm sure they'll probably also have new Atmos remix like they've been doing for all the freaking 4K versions they've been doing. But a lot of people have been debating, it's like, oh, I kind of really want Halloween 6, or I only want H2O. I don't want Resurrection, because who the fuck is going to buy Resurrection on 4K if it was a standalone release? Nobody's really that much of a fan of Halloween Resurrection, so in terms of the licensing deal they made with Dimension Films, Miramax, stuff like that, it has to all be sold completely only in a box set. So no individual releases will be coming at all, from what we know, unless there's some far-off relicensing deal and they make another decision. But at this point in time, box set is it. Now, it's retailing a little bit over $100, so here and there everywhere. I'm trying to think about things like, might sell off the old box set, because I've only got Halloween 4, and Halloween 5 on 4K. Still hoping to get 2 and 3, and well, if I sell off the box set, it'll probably pay more than enough for me to buy everything up on 4K, and then I'm freaking done, because I'm not a fan of the Rob Zombie stuff, so it doesn't matter to me. So people are saying, like, pretty much all the bonus features from that set are kind of going off in these 4K versions anyway, so it's a clear upgrade. If you want to grab everything, you'll have everything. You won't be shortchanged of anything, as far as we know at this point in time, but things could be changed here and there. But anything here and there, whatnot, all we know right now, we're getting those 3 films with 2 versions of Halloween 6, all done 4K, Dolby Vision likely, and likely with Atmos. That's what we know at this point in time, but still want to hear more things about what they're going to do with this whole thing. Is like, don't like so much like they announced the title, then it's up on pre-order, and you kind of had to buy up like the bundle sets and stuff like that before they sell out, before you even know what the specs are on the whole thing. So I'm kind of not a fan of that. I like them to like announce the full specs, then like now you can pre-order the whole thing. I think that's the way they used to do it. Now they're just announcing a title, now you pre-order it, and now these limited edition sets and the Steelbooks or whatnot, it's like they're all going to sell it before you even know exactly what you're buying. So I'm a little twitchy on this whole thing, but it comes up to the last thing I'm talking about is John Carpenter's The Fog. Now this was a 4K, same 4K restoration done by Studio Canal a couple years ago. They're porting it over, putting on Dolby Vision and new Atmos track. And I think it's all the exact same bonus features you had before, because this thing has been milked. Definitely been milked. Because they had the regular Blu-ray, and then they had the Steelbook version, which is the one I have. Now they're putting out in tandem like a regular version and a Steelbook version. Plus you're going to have all the, I think there's another bundle set on this whole thing. I'm not entirely certain, but they're putting that out on September 13th. So it's coming out pretty quickly. But like I said, they're putting out all the usual things, plus a restored original mono track. So they're kind of trying to go a little extra miles on the thing on the audio front than what I believe Studio Canal did before. Since they're announcing those as new Atmos tracks, new restored audio tracks, stuff like that. So it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice. I'm probably going to get this. I'm probably going to upgrade this thing because I have noticed on like looking at the comparisons between the different restorations and stuff like that, there is a different color grading on the whole thing. It seems like the Screen Factory one has a standout, much more pushed like a pure blue sort of color grading on the whole thing, where other versions are a little bit more green in some places here and there. But I don't really know which ones are exactly entirely sort of like accurate to the original theatrical experience. So I'm not entirely certain on the whole thing, but I'm a bit interested. I very much like the fog. Since we did our commentary on it a couple of years ago, I've become more and more of a fan of the whole film because I love the music, I love the ambience of the whole thing. The cast is wonderful. It's a really good piece of work. So I think that's a very good type of thing to get up on. So you got all the legacy commentary tracks, the documentaries, and all the other stuff on it. So again, not losing anything, just gaining something extra on top of it. So I'm sure that'll be a very good release. So guys, let me know what you think of all these releases coming up on this whole thing. There's a lot of 4K. Still entertaining a little bit of the Blu-ray stuff, or the stuff that's maybe not quite of a big title. So it's going to be a little bit more of a lesser selling film like KINO LORBER or something like that with Twilight and Happy Birthday to Me. But nice that these labels are grabbing a few other things here and there. But regardless, let me know what you guys think about all this stuff. So once we have more details on that Halloween 4K set, I'll let you guys know about it. And so on and so forth. So guys, thank you so much for checking this out. Got a little twisted up in my brain on some of this stuff talking, but I get a little excited, and a little ahead of myself. But hopefully all this stuff is kind of cool to you guys, and let me know what is of interest to you. So guys, thanks so very much. Take care. Bye-bye.